Cyclops is a little scary without the door to just shut in their face, but we'll take it. And, wow, it turns out we're clearing more of this already than I thought we would, but there we go. We found the end vault here, and a little red enemy behind the wall. That's got to be one of those scarier high-tier orcs. So it could pop out here. What I might actually do is do a quick search for resist poison to make sure I haven't missed any lying around the dungeon, and it doesn't seem like it. So that's kind of my only real purpose for exploring through here right now, is to potentially find some useful pieces of equipment to take us through the S branches. But we'll see how it goes. This isn't too scary yet. I do want to make sure I'm attacking the summoner here and not the summoned creature, if possible. Though I don't like the fact that the orc here is hitting us. Ooh, especially now that we're paralyzed. I should be able to... Perfect. I was just going to say, kill the orc sorcerer at the very least, which saves us the trouble of being paralyzed again. And then, perfect. We started retreating just in time because the noise was starting to bring the other chambers out, apparently, which is quite frightening. So we'll carry these buddies back with us a bit. I guess you're not going to come upstairs with us, so let's just run away, heal up. Maybe head down to a different stairwell for the time being, and we can even try and draw some of those enemies to us. The kind of nice thing about this is we've now opened up that final chamber and pulled a lot of the enemies out, so it kind of spreads the danger over the level instead of having to fight a whole bunch of high priests and high level orcs all in one last stand. Wand of Acid is definitely something I'll mark here to potentially pick up later. But otherwise, nothing too attractive here. Maybe the File Floods is a potential evocable to experiment a bit with this game. So we really didn't show off evocables enough in the first species attempt. Ooh. Attacking the wrong monster there. We definitely always want to take out the summoners when possible. So the one issue with Tab is the prioritization doesn't always work the way that you as a player specifically want it to. But should be fine here. It's nice that the mutator summon is being blocked by the summoner. Perfect. Not too shabby. And try and pull enemies out, keeping a really close eye on our health here, because if things start to go south, I want to get the heck out of here real quick. But okay. It was mostly, yeah, the mighted orc knights and any sorcerers or high priests are the real scary bits to look out for at this point. Amulet of Vitality. Oh boy, regen and HP plus 15. That might be an amulet we go for here. Pretty solid for us, and it would give us an excuse to curse that slot finally, because we're nearing the point where I'd like to get every piece of equipment cursed here. Even if just for the thematic nature of our deity. Oh, Ring of See Invisible. Oh my gosh. I'm a fool. So, I've been looking around for See Invisible, worried about unseen horrors and the like, but we're worshipping Ashen Zari. So, because we are at high enough piety, we are able to see invisible naturally here. Thankfully, the grayed out option in the shop here tipped me off to that one. Otherwise, who knows how embarrassingly long we might have gone through looking for that in the future. Regardless, I am definitely looking at that amulet, but we should finish exploring this floor because there will be more shops, and it's always a pain in the butt to spend all your money and then immediately run into something absolutely beautiful. Potions of Heal Wounds are pretty wondrous for sure. 2 potion shops in a row? It's alright. Ooh, Potions of Haste. I think I can afford both Heal Wounds potions, the Haste, and the necklace though. Oh, maybe not. It'll be pretty close. I'm not going to do the math here in my head, but Let's go for it. Potion of haste, we can definitely afford. Then we'll hop on down over here. I do believe it's just the 4 shops we find in here. Could be wrong. No, I believe so. Let's grab this amulet. Get rid of this useless magic regeneration we've been lugging around for a bit more survivability here. Should be pretty solid. And I'm just gonna curse that right away. So another part of being high piety with Ashen Zari that I'm not sure if we'll use, I guess we probably should, is we gain the ability to transfer knowledge, which is pretty snazzy. So we hit A here, can spend a bit of piety to start taking some skill points that we've put into a skill, and as we gain experience, it will start to transfer it with a bit of a loss rate, I believe. But this is really handy because we spent the first part of our run training a decent amount of maces and flails, only to completely swap away from that. So we could transfer that knowledge somewhere. So select the source. We want the source to be maces and flails. And we'd like it all to be diverted into... What's likely to keep getting ramped up? For now, I might actually just throw it towards dodging. I'll quickly get this dodging skill heading up there because it's about time we get our 3rd defensive skill going a bit. I feel like we might as well. We have a lot of experience points to spread around here. Now with Ashen Zari, seeing all the skills here for the first time ever makes me feel like a gnoll almost. But doubt we'll use these. We'll see how it goes. And I guess we're not totally clear of this area yet. I thought after clearing the vault that we might be through the worst of it, but you never know what you might find, especially since we never did reveal what this red face is. Oh, it's a translucent door. That's why it's so scary. I see. It'll make sense now. It's ready to hit all my panic buttons and get the heck out of here, but fortunately, that's not something we're going to worry about whatsoever, because no need to fight that ghost, and I think, well actually I don't think, it is about time we head to a new branch here. After finishing up through Orc, still no resist poison in the run, but I think we'll be strong enough to take out most of the stuff in the S branches before it becomes too much of an issue. I guess only way to find out is to dip our toes in at the very least. So let's head to Snake. We've cleared it once before without any resist poison, so I have a good feeling about this. At least good enough. I find that in general in Snake here, the poison spit can be a lot of poison damage, but it at least doesn't hit that often. Stuff like Spider, because every single spider is poisoning you on every single attack, it gets a bit sketchier. I guess some of the more poisonous snakes that we can find in here might hit that same scary spot, but at least most of the Nagas, it's not too much of a problem to not have full poison resistance or immunity. No resist electric against shock serpents though is a bit scarier. So we could turn to some of our scrolls here. What's my chance to paralyze? 59%? Not great. Should be fine. I did want to close the distance without them being able to hit us, so we fortunately were able to turn this corner here, but as you can see, each one of those lightning hits just wrecked us, so it's definitely not a fight we want to take lightly at any point without resistance to electricity. Let's pull some enemies to us as well. I'm kind of running my way into fights a bit too often. Probably a bit unnecessary. Oh, I'm going to be hit twice by those lightning blasts. So I didn't want to be sitting in the corner there. Which would have been a very different story, potentially. And Mana Vipers are fortunately not a problem whatsoever. And that should be the most of what we find, at least in the early floors of Snake here, in terms of the main dangers. Shock Serpents are just always going to be a bit of a butt clencher here. There we go. Once they're through, I have no problem taking out Naga. Even sitting at half health isn't too sketchy. Let's see. Ring of Ice, so we would gain a vulnerability to fire, but we could get our Lek, some more strength, and Slay +3. That's tempting for the future. I'll at least highlight that bad boy. Technically, aren't creatures who poison known as venomous? I guess I'm that guy. No, you're definitely right that there is a distinction between them. I always forget the exact definitional difference between venomous and poisonous, but I think you are right, because yeah, poisonous is if ingested, right? And venomous is if it's an effect they cause. Is that the distinction? I guess you could probably let me know. But words are important. You can really change the meaning of your sentence. Oh, Shock Serpent should be the one we're taking out there. There we go. Get rid of all these venomous snakes. Don't know how that look to camera turned out. Maybe because I spent so many of my teenage years avoiding cameras, don't have a true awareness of how to perform in front of them. I'm trying to learn, and I feel like streaming has definitely been a fun experience for getting a bit of practice in that. But there we go with a resist poison ring, finally. Which I may... We have a lot of remove curse scrolls, and we don't have a lot of situational things that we're switching into here. So I believe... I can drop those, but I believe I'm going to curse this ring here. And now we are fully bound, I believe, in every department, which is pretty snazzy. So that's going to be all the skill bonuses we get out of that. So even with our negative aptitudes, we could try and dip our toes in spellcasting a little bit, just using our god as the crutch needed to get past those aptitudes. Definitely a fun idea to keep in mind, especially depending on how our spellbook continues to grow here. It's nothing that I'm too drawn to yet at this point. It would make me really change gears. Okay, sharpshooters are going to be a bit of a pain in the butt. We also have really bad will, so any of these buddies with like teleport other might be a pain in the butt. Just got to be careful not to get teleported well already at low health, because it will teleport us into other enemies as often as it can. Ooh, should definitely take out the Guardian Serpent there as quickly as we can with their blink and circling blink. I forget what it's called now, but brings in all the baddies out of everywhere. Very scary. Then we'll definitely pop ourselves into a corner so we're not being constricted from 5 angles at once. But this is definitely going pretty smoothly so far. If you cast the spell Corona on an enemy that then goes invisible, does the spell effect get cancelled? Can't find an answer anywhere. That is interesting. Because does it give you... My gut instinct is that it would give you visibility on them, or at least the outline one, where you know that there's something there. Do you get that permanently, maybe? That is a cool interaction to think about, though. It'd be nice if Corona was a bit of a solution to the whole scene visible thing, because it would make sense. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, right? Because that's like, yeah, Fairy Fire. How you'll use that in Fantasy and in D&D. Oh, we got teleported. Didn't get teleported into other enemies, though, fortunately enough. And now that we have our poison, I'm much less worried. The only concern is this buddy right here. The Shock Serpents are always going to be a bit of a pain. But besides that, we're looking pretty solid to tab our way through most of these bad boys. And just as we mentioned new shock serpents, of course we have to run into quite a few in a row here. Just to give my heart some work, you know? It's important to stress yourself out, apparently. And keep exploring. Does anyone start with Corona in this game right now in the backgrounds? Because I know the Crusader used to. Does the Scald? Is it called a Scald now, the Battle Mage? Do Scald start with Corona? Because maybe I'll have to choose Scald for one of our future backgrounds here and solve the Corona mystery once and for all. Arcane Marksman, I think? Okay, good to know. Trying to think of where that would sit on my list. Who I'd want to play an Arcane Marksman. Because Merfolk are pretty fun to play as any kind of hybrid magic combat build, but I'm not sure how their ranged aptitudes are off the top of my head. Usually that's a trident kind of shebang. But a bazaar is pretty awesome. We don't have a whole lot of money, unfortunately, but definitely pop in here to see if there's anything we can afford. Potion of Heal Wounds, pretty sweet. Really nothing else there though. Okay, fortunately we're not a spellcaster, otherwise I'd be so upset to not be able to afford all the sweet spellbooks we need. But we can just la-ti-da our way on by there. The Amulet of Faith is interesting. I don't know if it has any effect whatsoever with Ashinzari. I know with a couple of the deities on the Pantheon that don't have conventional faith gain, the amulet does have different auxiliary effects, like with Rue, because Rue's piety doesn't change based on anything except for the sacrifices you make. It changes the rate at which you get sacrifices, which I think is pretty cool. Oh wow, fancy gold battle axe. Very cool looking, but not something we need to worry about, fortunately. And that all turned out. I normally really like to see these bazaars. I really want to get the opportunity to see a few more shops, but it's nice that one of the few times that I find one and don't have money doesn't have stuff that's all just out of my pay range and making me sad for seeing it. This run is lucky in more ways than one. But we will continue to breeze on through Snake here, hoping that Snake 3 and 4 go as cleanly. End of the branches, of course, is always a little bit scarier, but we are definitely running one tough son of a gun at this point. And, ooh, finally one of the soft hats, so we can actually wear this over our little horns. I'm tempted to buy that just to throw a couple of enchant weapon scrolls on it. And I'll definitely mark, with a capital A, I'll mark this Phantom Mirror as something we do want to buy later, because Phantom Mirrors are very useful for taking out some powerful enemies. Oh my gosh. These are just a whole bunch of dream shops, one after another. Couples of solid pairs of armors. I'm not super hopeful on Shadow Dragon scales. They're not the dragon scales I'd usually go with on a character like this. But the fact that it's an artifact one just makes me want to see what it do. So we'll try and save up money, I guess, over the next while. One day we'll be able to see what all of those effects are. Let's also use up some identify potions and open up some room here. Ooh, did I not do that right? Must not have done that right. R1. That's fine, we'll manually read them instead. Ooh, shimmering plate. Yeah, very nice indeed here. Ooh, and a scroll of acquirement as well. That is beautiful. So let's just take a peek at this right away, shall we? Cursed Amulet of Itik. Acrobat is always a pretty fun thing to deal with, or an ego to deal with, because you can do a lot of creative things. But don't really need RC or strength, so I think I'll keep my Amulet of Vitality. And, the Scarf of Resistance is kind of tempting. We're dealing with switching between rings and stuff to fill in our resistance slots. So this would lose us out on potentially 1 AC if this is a +0. Oh, but it's already cursed as well. Right, with Ash and Zari, all acquired things are already cursed, which is very sweet. On the other side of things, gold is, for once, a very tempting acquirement chance here, because we just saw that shop where we're really going to be needing to pick up a decent chunk of change. So this would allow us to just go and buy that plate and potentially see what that's all about. Oh me, oh my, decisions, decisions, decisions. You know what, because I like artifacts so much, the Scarf of Resistance might be the right play here, but I think I am going to go for the money, and we're just going to snatch that up, and I want to see... Oops, that's not the right shop. It was this bad boy here. Let's see what this is all about, shall we? Pick that bad boy up. We have no identify scrolls, so let's hope it doesn't have an annoying ego on it. Oh right, it's already identified for us. So RC -1, unfortunately, but strength +9. Holy cow. So we could get our strength score just up to ridiculous heights for this point in the game. Is just +2. Seeing Visible unfortunately doesn't help us out that much, so maybe I should have gone with the Scarf of Resistance, but you gotta roll the dice. When you see an artifact, the white text just calls out to me. There's nothing I could do. So, do I want to wear this just for funsies? No, I don't think I can afford that cold vulnerability, unfortunately. Such a shame, too bad. We'll be having to leave that one behind for the time being. Might be possible to switch into it in the future. Oh, we just got linked into the middle of chaos here. Yeah, definitely might be useful in the future if we find an easier source of resist cold. This is absolute chaos. Okay, nobody's gonna step on the blink trap. Perfect. Get around the corner. Well, we're finally safe to do so. It's absolute madness in that vault. I did like that all the enemies were blinking around too, though. It's fair kind of chaos, at the very least. And that... It's not mostly Snake 3. Jeez. For whatever reason, that started this floors felt like we got a lot done. Maybe it's just finding the acquirement scroll and how much thought I put into that. Oh, I don't know where that enemy went. There we go. And again, just going through this without too many problems whatsoever. Even that chaotic blink bolt wasn't too bad. And there we go. This is why I have to keep saying stuff like that, because it procs the RNG gods to throw interesting stuff my way. But Israel here is definitely a bit scary if you don't have fire resistance. We have 1 pip at the very least, so all these will be halved. But the damnation is where he gets real annoying. I believe he only does that if they get to low health. But definitely something to keep in mind, because that's usually closer to the end of the fight that they're going to be at lower health like that. But let's just go toe-to-toe. Yeah, fortunately it's later in the game for when we'd usually run into them at the very least. Well, I got Azrael and Rupert a floor below me trying to figure out what to do. I know I'm going to get paralyzed and then blown up by fireballs. Right, worst case scenario, Azrael's at low health and you can get damnationed even. Oh boy. Rupert is someone that I always find pretty scary. I don't really like any of the uniques that have ways to haste themselves, because usually running away is going to be your solution, especially to a lot of early game uniques, but not always an option, unfortunately. Ooh, another scroll of blinking is beautiful. We'll have to see what kind of end game we're dealing with in Snake 4 here. I did want to say end vault, but ran into a fun little word problem there. It's the fact that vaults are used for so many different things in this game, or the word vault is used as a label. Okay, we are definitely in a scary-ish situation here. We're getting surrounded by a lot of pole arms, but the nice thing is we are a lot faster than Naga. So earlier we were always happy whenever we ran into a normal speed enemy, but these buddies are normally slow enough to just walk away from. So anytime any of these fights get dangerous, we're just gonna slowly but surely step on out of there and should be no problem. Close the door to make them close the distance to us. And it's always weird fighting polearm exclusive enemies because we always have that gap between us as we're fighting across. It's kind of nice because it gives me a bit more of a visual representation of like when they use their acid spits or when they cast other spells. It's definitely just a wacky sight for me. Whoa, wait, there was another bazaar here? Did I not notice that when we came down? Where's this fancy special one? What? How did I not notice this? I should have actually checked if this was a timed one, because you can get bazaars that aren't timed. But I'm a fool and we jumped right in, so hopefully we're not punished by it. Hopefully we can afford all the good stuff that we need or want from here. Taking a peek. Harm is an interesting ego that we probably won't be experimenting too much with here. But a scorched great mace. Unfortunately, if we exclamation point to switch to examine and check that out. Let's see, it is two-handed. Thanks, Babs. Dog got dropped off by the partner. Hey, Boops. Oh, sweetie. Do you want to come up, or do you know my camera's on? Yeah, you know my camera's on. That's fine. What a good girl. What a sweetie. But yes, we cannot do that. 2,600 gold for 2 scrolls of acquirement. I mean, hey, you guys have the seed down there. If you want to try and save up 2,600 gold before you get to this point, that is a pretty snazzy shop item. She didn't want me anymore. No, thanks, Babs. What a sweetie. Yes, she can go down in her bed in here. Her little troll cave. But okie dokie. Gozegger, go home. I do love Gozeg. Gozeg will buy that for you for sure, yeah. Gozeg is actually probably my favorite god to do my own time. It's pretty close call between them and Macleb, or Macleb. Don't know the proper enunciation or stress to put there. But Gozeg is my favorite just for the call shop mechanic. I love being able to just infinitely choose new items. Really gets into that looter scooter section of my brain. But what I wanted to do here is we have 2 unidentified scrolls for sale. So if we pop into here and see which scrolls we have unidentified, I would definitely pay 21 for most of these. So that is a steal to just grab both of those bad boys. Fortunately, we already had one. No, we just had just enough inventory space to buy those. But I think we will just be heading out of here without picking up too much more. One last peek. You can also do a quick Control F dot in order to see them all listed here. And okay, not punished for jumping into this with no money. Shape Your Ados is my fave. It's a neat challenge, interesting invocations, and the stat bonus means you can do some silly hybrid builds. Yeah, I definitely need more experience with Che. I have 1 Naga going that I haven't gone back to in a little bit here, but definitely was a lot of fun. And I totally get what you mean by a very neat challenge, because there's no retreating when you play as Che, especially if you're a Naga of Che that also uses statue form. Pretty much guaranteeing that running is never an option and you're just gonna stand and duke it out, which is pretty fun. And yeah, I think on that character I'm wearing heavy armor and casting all the level 9 spells that I have available, so that's pretty sweet. Definitely nothing to sneeze at. Wow, that is a very full vault. Yep, and find some Boots of Rampaging for extra fun. Oh, that is really good. Yeah, I haven't tried them with Boots of Rampaging at all, because that is on, I think, 0.25, my Naga. That's really great. Oh my gosh, just instantly surrounded by 2 more Guardian Serpents. That's interesting. Okay, playing it a bit slow here. I just need to take out one of these buddies, and we can run out of here. But I'm ready to blink at a moment's notice for sure. Dang it. More blink and circling, of course. And there we go. All the Guardian Serpents are taken care of. Let's start running up here. Perfect. These 2 faster snakes will keep up with us, and they are constricting us, which is making us lose the ability to move occasionally here. But got away from enough of them and split the pack here. Perfect. And now this is a bit more of a tenable situation in this corridor. Oh, 200 fight recklessly. Let's quit all of that tab nonsense. Okay, the sharpshooter is going to be scary here. But perfect. They had to close the distance. And there we go. Absolute beaut. It's definitely really handy having a fast character in this branch in particular. Makes all the fights a little less stressful to always have that option in the back of your mind. Don't like Shock Serpent though. That's not great. So, we haven't checked our skills in a long time. Let's pop in here real quick. Seems like a bit of a non sequitur, but I find whenever I get into a panic situation and I start looking at my options is when I notice, like, oh, I have all these wands and evocables. Is my evocation skill still going up? It is not still going up. We'll definitely pop that back on and set a new target as well, because that is going to be a nice solution for troubles such as these in the future. Let's just throw some corrosion at you. It should take you down a bit quicker. Perfect. Just didn't want to take too much damage with all these enemies wandering about. Oh, you slowed me, you son of a gun. No blink and circling though. Managed to take them out before they got that tough piece of work off. And, you know, this is kind of working out in our favor, much like we mentioned earlier. We've startled the vault and like kind of shaken it up, and once they start bleeding out little by little, it kind of spreads the danger out over multiple encounters instead of having to just go balls to the wall full combat detail the whole time. Okay, I should, oops, pressing a bunch of buttons here. Want to take out this Guardian Serpent so they don't blink and circling again, because I do believe they can do that. This is not going great, so I'm going to start tucking around this corner here. Fortunately, as long as there's a retreat space available, only the snakes are going to keep up with us. The Nagas are going to have to be teleported in each time. Oh boy. Getting a bit scarier. Okay, that's a couple more down. Okay, now we're blocked in and starting to get lower health as well. We've only found 3 blink scrolls this whole game. Wow. Had those identified since like D5 or D6. Haven't used any either, but that's unfortunate. So we're not one hit away from death necessarily, or at least not in a great chance of that. So taking a quick peek at will levels here. Most of them are low enough. I'm going to throw down a fear scroll, which should clear the air here quite a bit. And then I think I can take out you, right? Oh gosh, you immediately blink surrounded me again when they came out of fear. That's not great. Okay, so new plan. We're blinking. And These buddies are the issue. So I'm also gonna haste. Let's do some quick 1d10, 1d13. We're getting dealt a lot of damage there. Let's try a couple of steps and see where that takes us. I'm gonna go Curing Potion. Step, step. Okay, we're hasted now as well, so we're outrunning the annoying Guardian Serpents, and that should officially be us out of danger. Oh boy. Knees weak, palms are definitely quite sweaty. Jeez Louise. Always a lot of fun to find yourself in those situations. But that is definitely mostly hubris, because we should just be dragging these enemies out. Keep trying to fight them a little more than I should. Totally unnecessary. So let's try not to waste either of our remaining blink scrolls as we continue to clear through this vault, shall we? Otherwise though, should be pretty solid. Let's throw boomerangs as this buddy approaches us, and if they encircle, blink us or whatever, we can drag a bunch of them upstairs, which would actually be kind of handy. Fortunately, they're not going to do it when we actually want it, of course. And this is a fight that I don't mind taking. Fighting 3 is much nicer than trying to duke it out against 9 or so. Oh, we caused noise and those buddies were walking out, weren't they? I think they were. Oh, maybe not. Okay. But don't walk in. Making the same mistakes. Instead, we should just walk our way out of there. Get teleported out is all good as well. But let's take our time here. Drag enemies out. You know, let them come to us. We don't need to seem so needy all the time. And this is much cleaner here. I do want to check out +2 pair of gloves. I believe 4 scrolls of remove curse. What beverage are you drinking? I'm drinking a ginger ale at the moment. Should drink more water in my life, but sugary ass ginger ale is pretty delicious. Actually, in general, I really like carbonated drinks. What was I thinking though? Remove curse. I think it is about time that we use up one of those to clear up this slot. Drop those and we'll put on these fancy +2 gloves. Just for the couple more points of iced tea. Ginger ale, me too. I mixed it with some chartreuse. Ooh, that sounds really good. I can't even... I don't know if I'm imagining the right flavors in my head for chartreuse right now. That's like an orangey. Is it? Oh gosh. Now I immediately doubt myself. But I guess let me know. What kind of flavor profile is chartreuse? It's a herbal bitters. Ah, yeah, that is right. I think bitters is where my brain was getting it from, because I used to work at a really nice family-run liquor store, and they had a really good bitter selection. I stuck mostly, funnily enough, to the orange bitters. So kind of fits in with what I was guessing. Probably where my brain crossed the wires there. But nice, that sounds very delicious still. Ginger ale is a really good drink in general as a base for mixing, because I like most juices mixed with ginger ale too. Almost any like punch that my family used to make always involved ginger ale as one of the just core base elements. But our inventory is looking real full here, so I was just trying to think of where we might shift some room. We have really bad resistances all around, so I don't want to hold on to this plate armor of will. Maybe I'll drop the crystal plate on the floor for now. We can always pick that up again in the future if we plan on enchanting it out to max. But we can only really afford to use a plain crystal plate like that if we manage to find our resistances filled by some other means. So we'll have to see how that goes. Nice, we have opened up the vault some more here, and we can see just a steady trickle of enemies coming out, which is pretty solid. This is often how I find myself clearing the end of Elf as well, for sure. Oops. And then I immediately walk towards that fight here. I want to turn this corner. Fortunately, the guardian snake is a lot faster than their friends, so I don't even think they're able to blink in against us. But I will not complain whatsoever because it allowed us to not be punished too hard so far at the very least for our stupid decisions. And we can instead maybe clear out most of that vault in one fell swoop here. And we got circle blinked again, of course. On the first turn that time as it came around, I spoke too soon. Okay, so let's take out anything that's fast first. And then at the very least, we have our retreat option open. The most important of all options in this game, it seems. And there we go, not too shabby. Maybe back up to here. It's a nice corner where we can always turn it and start running away if need be. Perfect. And back again once more into the breach. See how things go in this entry. Couple of the dang old serpents. Son of a... I realized just too late, unfortunately. The error of my ways. So I'm going to throw down a potion of might, because we have a whole bunch of them, and I almost never end up using them. So let's start thinking a bit earlier about solutions here. A bit earlier before we start just pressing all of our panic buttons in a blind... I was going to just use the word panic again. Screw it. Yeah, panic. I always try my best to vary my vocabulary and mix up my language because it bugs me so much for whatever reason when I use the same word multiple times in the same sentence. I think it does me decently well in regards to streaming though, because it does mean that I have a decent background or vocabulary to fall back on, even though main issue is my brain just forgetting things or being especially dumb on any given day, like today, for example. Okay, almost on this end chapter of Snake here. Oh crap, we got tellied, so I'm gonna just head upstairs and let that take us somewhere totally innocent instead of having to worry about being thrown into the thickness of the vault. And then we immediately got teleported again without me noticing. Whoops. I swear I'm paying attention. I'm a good pilot. I'm not just pressing buttons here. Oops. As I immediately jerk around up and downstairs, pressing two buttons at the same time. Oops. Okie dokie. Hopefully that's most of the guardian serpents taken care of, here at the very least. In which case I'm more comfortable, even with the kind of mixed results that we've been achieving so far. Speaking of which, let's slow down my tabs. That's part of my problem, is just going full rapid fire on that bad boy. Okay, one more guardian serpent, fine, and numbers like this still should be okay. Easy breezy, beautiful, perfect, no problem. Not a doubt in my mind the whole time. Let's do it, perfect, and there's our first rune already, not too shabby. Definitely making our way through even quicker than we did on our hill arc. I think I was focused a bit too much on trying to keep people alive. It's a bit easier when you don't have followers. You can just be selfish. It's just me that I gotta worry about, you know? Unfortunately, this was not a great snake in terms of loot, but this is why we do a Control F to make sure I didn't miss anything important, such as this beautiful kite shield of reflection. That's something we definitely want on us. So, we'll use another remove curse scroll here, and we shall remove our shield curse. I think that's it. We'll leave everything else for now. We might want to remove this ring of poison resistance after we finish with swamp, but pretty happy with where we're sitting. So let's drop that bad boy and let's pick up this Kite Shield of Reflection. That is absolutely beautiful. And continue our one last scan through the objects here just to double check, not forgetting anything important, and that looks pretty solid by my books. So I think we're just about ready to head out here. Let's curse an item, recurse our shield here so we get that bonus to that skill. Do you know what? I'm going to stop training dodging because it's up at a nice level already. Holy cow. Everything's just flying by. Full flow state status. You know what? Let's even turn off fighting for the time being. Let's get that evocations just cranked up there. I'll even bring it as high as 20 at some point in the future. And do I want to transfer any more knowledge? That's the other thing to quickly check in on, is if there's anything we're not really using. The maces and flails, it looks like it only took about 4 levels out of it. Does that seem right? It seems right. Let's transfer some more knowledge, shall we? Maces and flails shall go to evocations. Very cool. Very handy little skill there to throw in every once in a while here. And with that, what do we wish to do? Head straight to Swamp? Go grab a second rune? We could clear out the rest of the dungeon too. That's probably the smarter thing to do.